unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
This Week in Gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello again, and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. I'm Naomi Kyle. This week we're catching up on the Stop Killing Games initiative, an update on HBO's The Last of Us, a popular PlayStation title makes the move to Xbox, and Microsoft lays off thousands of employees from its gaming division. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's get started. The latest round of layoffs from Microsoft has swept across its gaming division, resulting in a total loss of about 9,100 employees. This account marks the largest number of layoffs made by Microsoft in recent history. Since January 2024, Microsoft has now cut a total of around 17,600 employees from its workforce. Xbox CEO Phil Spencer said in a message to gaming staff, "I recognize that these changes come at a time when we have more players, games, and gaming hours than ever before. Our platform, hardware, and game roadmap have never looked stronger. The success we're seeing currently is based on tough decisions we've made previously. We must make choices now for continued success in future years, and a key part of that strategy is the discipline to prioritize the strongest opportunities." Among the casualties include several video games that were once in development, but due to the layoffs have been canceled. Funding was pulled from an untitled project from Romero Games. The highly anticipated Rare title Everwild has been scrapped. Perfect Dark and the studio developing it have been shut down. And ZeniMax Studios has canceled development on an MMORPG that they were working on, codenamed Blackbird, which was said to be so good that the controller had to be pried from Phil Spencer's hands. I'm completely puzzled why Microsoft continues to make cuts so frequently when Xbox executives have been saying year after year that business is booming. We'll have more on this discussion with our guest this week, so stay tuned. The European initiative Stop Killing Games has reportedly surpassed its goal of 1 million signatures, but the battle isn't over quite yet. Ross Scott, the initiative's founder, is concerned that many of Stop Killing Games' signatures could be fake due to an outside spoofing campaign to falsely boost the number of signatures. Ross Scott said the following in response: "This is not a change.org petition. This is a government process. Spoofing signatures is a crime. Please do not do this. Europe takes its political processes pretty seriously. I was looking forward to reaching a safe margin and putting this behind me, but now I guess I have to keep this up until July 31st. The Stop Killing Games petition calls on the European Union to make it illegal for companies to shut down fully purchased single-player games without offering a way to keep them playable. It's a response to the growing trend of publishers delisting or disabling games that people have already paid for. So, we'll see how this ends up shaking out. Reinforcements are coming to Super Earth. A year and a half after its launch, Arrowhead Game Studios announced that Helldivers 2 will be playable on Xbox consoles on August 26th. According to Pure Xbox, the Xbox Series versions of Helldivers 2 will support crossplay with PlayStation 5 and PC versions of the game. Helldivers 2 will be the second PlayStation-published game to release on Xbox after MLB The Show. I hope this is the first step of many for PlayStation to share more of their exclusive titles with wider audiences. What is the next game you would like to see make the jump from PlayStation to Xbox? Let me know on social and tag me at Naomi Kyle. The creator of The Last of Us, Neil Druckmann, has announced that he will not be returning for Season 3 of HBO's The Last of Us TV series and released the following statement. With work completed on Season 2 and before any meaningful work starts on Season 3, now is the right time for me to transition my complete focus to Naughty Dog and its future projects, including writing and directing our exciting next game, Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet. Co-creating the show has been a career highlight. It's been an honor to work alongside Craig Mazin, to executive produce, direct, and write on the last 2 seasons. I'm deeply thankful for the thoughtful approach and dedication the talented cast and crew took to adapting The Last of Us Part 1 and the continued adaptation of The Last of Us Part 2. Though Neil has clearly stated that he is leaving to focus on his next game, one can't help but wonder if he has other reasons for taking his leave. For context, The Last of Us Season 2 suffered a 30% drop in viewership from its Season 2 premiere, and audience scores on Rotten Tomatoes spiraled down from 86% to 37% audience satisfaction. Ouch.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest. Parris Lilly joins us to chat about the devastating shakeup at Xbox, the Stop Killing Games movement, and whether Neil Druckmann leaving The Last of Us TV show is bad news for Season 3.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Hey, Parris, it's great to have you back on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me again.
Yeah, of course. I will say it is a little bummer that the news we're going to be talking about today is not anything upbeat or exciting, really. But yeah, Xbox just got hit by a bunch of layoffs in their gaming division. And, this did affect all of Microsoft, but the gaming division definitely got hit. When you heard the news, what were your thoughts? Was this something you were expecting?
I mean, we had heard rumors ahead of time, so we knew it was coming. But even once the news hit, I mean, it's just such a bummer overall. And, we, like you said, it was 9,000 people that got laid off overall at Microsoft, but to see some games get canceled, to see an entire studio close is a bummer. But the real issue here is the fact that more people are losing their jobs in the tech industry and in the gaming industry. And it is seemingly not stopping. I would just say on a personal note, I mean, I had some friends get affected by this. Like I said, it's just a bummer. And there's so many different reasons as to potentially why this happened that just makes it even more frustrating, unfortunately.
Yeah. And that's the hard part to doing this interview because, okay, are we going to dissect this at this point? Like, we know this has been happening industry wide. Yeah, it's hard to go into. It's really devastating for a lot of folks, and it just keeps happening. And there's no end in sight, it seems like. Yeah,
and that's the crazy thing about this. It doesn't seem like it's going to stop. Like, this is just another, I look at it this way. It's been going on for so long now. You feel like you're just repeating yourself when this happens, because your heart goes out to all these people and, you want to have empathy for that. I think that is just the most important thing when you see these layoffs happen. But then now that we've had some time to kind of digest what's going on, you ask the question, why? I mean, there was obviously the Seattle Times report that Microsoft has invested billions of dollars into AI, that this came from the top. AI played a part in it. Then, you're seeing people questioning Game Pass now, just bringing it to an Xbox level. I look at it this way, regardless of the outside influences that may be why we're seeing these layoffs, it's a failure in leadership, in my opinion. When I see a Microsoft, and like I said, this starts with Satya Nadella and this goes all the way down to Phil Spencer. When you see a Microsoft that is worth trillions of dollars at this point, people go work for that type of company because there should be some sense of job security there, right? Like, oh, wow, I'm working for Microsoft. I'm working for Xbox. We're seeing senior level people, losing their jobs, during these rounds of layoffs. And it's like, why weren't these people taken care of? And I get there's going to be severance packages and they've talked about all of that, but that's still, in my opinion, not an excuse. You spent $80 billion or so to acquire Bethesda, to acquire an Activision, and you're still laying people off. It's still not enough. And like you said, it's such a tough conversation to have because it's frustrating because we're on the outside looking in. Like I said, there is a personal attachment to this because of friends. But then when I look at the gaming industry as a whole, Microsoft/Xbox is arguably now the biggest publisher in the world, and it's still not good enough.
Yeah.
So what are the reasons here? It's like you had Phil Spencer put out his, I guess it was an internal memo, but we obviously all got to see it. And it felt very cold to me because
removed from the whole situation.
You're talking about how well the business is doing, but all these people that helped us get to this point, we don't need you anymore. Sorry about that.
Right.
It's hard to overlook with that because why are these people not being taken care of?
Exactly. And you're right. Like, at what point is it good enough? At what point do these people have some sort of longevity there? And at what point do they get rewarded for the hard work that, helped get them to that point? And this is not a way to reward the people who got you there.
No, absolutely not.
It's completely unfair. I will get right back into this. Of course, it's a big topic, so we'll be discussing it some more. Let's just go to Games Out This Week for a little second and see you in a bit.
Games Out This Week.
Starting on July 8th, Missile Command Delta launches on PS5, PC, Switch, Xbox One, and Xbox Series X and S. Then on July 10th, Cats Away arrives on PS5, PC, and Nintendo Switch. EA Sports College Football 26 tackles PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. Islanders New Shores relaxes on PS5, PC, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch. Everdeep Aurora traverses the depths on PC and Nintendo Switch. Mycopunk and Everyday We Fight team up exclusively on PC. On July 11th, Patapon 1 and 2 Replay marches on PC and Nintendo Switch. And Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 kickflips onto all platforms. And on July 14th, Kaizen A Factory Story launches on PC, some assembly required. The Epic Games Store is offering 2 free games this week, Skyracket and Figment 2 Creed Valley, which will be available for download from July 10th until the 17th.
Quest accepted.
All right, so we're back, continuing our discussion here with what's going on at Xbox. So I guess we could get more, narrow vision, like how has this affected the game studios who got closed? Why do we see games like Perfect Dark closed when there was so much hype for it? Was there something in the studio space that perhaps could have worked out better? Crystal Dynamics, too, no longer having a partnership with Xbox. What does this mean for Crystal? Their whole thing is Tomb Raider games. It's really sad to see that they're, kind of being shut out by Xbox at this point. So is this, again, leadership? Is there some stuff in the studios that, just weren't working? They need to, rehash this. They need to maybe get different studios on board. What's your take on this?
I mean, it's overall publisher leadership, as we've already talked about, but then I think you even need to look at studio leadership as well when it comes to that. So, as an example, the games in the studio that got closed. So, I honestly was not shocked about Everwild, just for the simple fact we didn't see it at the showcase this year,
right.
and already I had a red flag. I was like, they're still not showing this game. We still don't know what this game is.
And this is a rare studio title. Which Rare, really reputable in the space.
Right, exactly. Legendary. I mean, some of the best games ever made have come out of that studio. So that one didn't shock me as much because clearly, I think they said Everwild's pretty much been in development like almost 10 years at this point. So the fact that you still couldn't figure out what it wasn't surprised. But then Phil Spencer earlier this year in a podcast, when he was asked a game he was anticipating Everwild. So which one is it? So it does sound like this was more of a recent decision that game got canceled. Now, Perfect Dark in the initiative, I'm shocked and not shocked at the same time. If they hadn't shown us that vertical slice at the showcase the previous year, wouldn't surprise me at all, because we've heard chronicled the issues that have happened at the initiative since it was conceived back in 2018. But then you showed us the game.
Right.
And then we found out, people are like, oh, it was fake. And then we found out from someone that worked on it, no, a lot of it was actually real. It was a true representation of what they were trying to do. But then you close the studio. And like you said, the partnership with Crystal Dynamics, that obviously has ended. So what does that mean for that studio? Because if I'm not mistaken, they had a round of layoffs earlier this year as well. So now if one of their big projects is gone, what does that mean for that studio too? And anything coming from them in the future. So it's very concerning to see that. But the one that baffles me the most is this ZeniMax game that got canceled, the online one. Because again, you're finding out that they had to pry the controller out of Phil Spencer's hands because of how good the game was. Everyone, I mean, I will admit, I've talked to some people that got laid off from that studio, and they were very proud of what they were working on. No, like what one person told me was they got laid off. He goes, when I went to bed that night, I did not think I would wake up in the morning and think I would be out of a job.
Wow.
That's how well it was going for them.
Yeah.
So what was the decision there? Why did that happen? It's very baffling. And I had another person tell me that it's very scary right now. Yeah. For them. And they still have a job. But the fact that you don't have confidence in what's coming next is concerning. And I don't know, the focus has been on Xbox because obviously the news has been about them. When you look at these decisions, for whatever reason that they happen, it makes you question everything else moving forward. You just have to.
And we have also been seeing a little bit the writing on the wall when it comes to Xbox. Like, there's been some decisions that they've been making that I think has been questionable. In your opinion, as an expert, someone who's been in this industry for a long time, maybe even longer than me, how does Xbox correct course at this point? Is there anything in their messaging that shows that maybe they're thinking about changing the way that they've been managing things? Like, is there any sign that they kind of have a path forward to fixing this?
And that is $1 million question. First of all, I'm definitely not an expert. I want to be clear on that. But that's the $1 million question. I don't know. And that's what is troubling about all of this. If, again, Microsoft cannot figure this out, then who can? I guess that's the question. And we bring it back to leadership. Is the right leadership in place for this? You have to question that at this point, because what is so disheartening about this, I really felt like Xbox was getting on track now. I was like, okay, they figured it out. Got a lot of games coming into Game Pass right now. We see what's coming this year and going into 2026 coming out of that showcase. All right, I think they figured it out. Maybe they haven't. Right. and that's the unfortunate thing. I just hope, and this is just a hope. This isn't, I think they figured it out. I just hope, okay, this was awful, what we just saw. Maybe now moving forward, there's always going to be layoffs. I'm not surprised by that, but it won't be this severe, and you won't see entire studios going away. Games get canceled all the time, so that's not a surprise to me. But hopefully, I think Matt Booty and the thing he put out, they got 40 plus projects in the pipeline. Let's see how much of them, many of them actually come to market at this point. Yeah. I look to next year. Next year is going to say a lot about Xbox in the short term and the long term, because it is their 25th anniversary. And they already made a promises of some of their big flagship titles are going to show up next year. Let's see if they can actually deliver. Yeah. That's what it comes down to. You got to deliver great games. You need to improve the morale across all your studios, because you have thousands of people that depend on you now from a leadership standpoint. Let's just hope they get it right. I mean, that's all you can do at this point. And one other studio we did not bring up is Turn 10. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, they let off 50% of the staff, and all the rumors are pointing towards they're essentially going to become a support studio now for Playground for Forza Horizon. And I'll say even in that one, I kind of sort of understand it, because Forza Motorsport did not launch in the best way possible. And I could see them thinking, well, we're not going to make another Forza Motorsport for a while. Clearly, Horizon is arguably their most popular IP right now. So it makes a lot of sense. We're going to focus on Forza Horizon. And unfortunately, and again, this is terrible, we don't need everyone that's at Turn 10 anymore, because we only need them to support what Playground is doing. So I kind of sort of get it, but I still hate it all. Because it's still terrible. I hate all of it.
I hate all of it. Yeah. Absolutely. We'll wait to see what happens next year. And of course, maybe this is just them. This is their course correction, maybe. This is what they're trying to do to fix things. We'll see if any of these games do come out, and if studios end up, being stronger in the end. That's my only hope, like you said. Yeah. Let's talk about something a little bit more uplifting. The Stop Killing Games petition is kind of uplifting. It's just, it's trying to keep games alive, which I appreciate what they're doing. Do you think this Stop Killing Games petition will succeed? Have you heard a lot about this?
I've heard some of it. I haven't dived too deep into it, but I understand the whole point of it and what it's trying to do. And I'll say again, I hope it works because I think game preservation, especially, because like Anthem, as an example, just thinking about this, Anthem, while it wasn't a super popular game and had its own issues, they're shutting down those servers at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That is kind of the point of what this movement is about. These games that do rely on online services, I understand once the population gets small, sure, the big company's not going to want to fund it, but enable basically the public and enable our private sector, if they want to invest and they want to keep it going, give us the tools and allow us to be able to have private servers to be able to continue to play these games and have those services gone. I know there was even a thing with Halo 3, the original Xbox 360 version of it, that has now been revived and that's being supported. So it's like, I want to see more of those things where games of the past, online games of the past, like, sure, you might not have tens of thousands of people playing it, but if there's a community of people that still want to be able to play that game and interact with it, keep it alive. Give us the platform or whatever tool that we need. Yeah, exactly. To be able to continue supporting it.
Totally agree. Yeah, I hope it succeeds. It's surpassed 1 million signatures, but we'll see how much that holds. But it's interesting. I'm going to keep track on that for the show. All right, really quick, I want to touch on The Last of Us TV series. Neil Druckmann has left. Do you think this will help and hurt the show? And more importantly, do you think it's because the show season 2 was not doing well?
All the above. No, I will admit I was not a fan of season 2, and I loved season 1. I don't think this is a good sign because this is his baby. He is the creative of The Last of Us. So that would be like, George R.R. Martin walking away from Game of Thrones. I don't think that's a good thing, right? If he's not a part of it. So no, I don't think it's a good thing. But also
he was a part of it, and Game of Thrones the last season was not good. So
true.
Is it better if they leave? Is guess what I'm alluding to.
I mean, obviously I hope for the best. Like I said, I love the first season. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought season 2 was a step back. If him wanting to focus on more internal things at Naughty Dog and another creative mind comes in that can improve it, great. It's just when you first see it as a headline, I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound good, but hopefully it is.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Parris. Always great chatting with you. I'll have to have you back on a more uplifting topic.
Definitely.
Week of news. But thank you as always. And hope you have a great rest of your week. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Parris Lilly is a host and creator for Kinda Funny and Gamertag Radio. You can follow him on Instagram at Vicious696.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle. I had the best time this week bringing you all the latest in games. Thank you so much for listening, and shout out to my co-writer, Josh Seaman. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you a fun-filled week, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. Thanks for listening.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.